Systems Design and Management class at MIT. System Architecting was a class with Dr. Ed Crowley, was my instructor. So that was done, yeah, in the fall of 2011 in ESD 34. But the principles that I had there was really the what's good architecture? Define good. That's an interesting question, right? Keep it simple. Perspectives. Emergence is another one. So emergence gets into the, hey, I have all of these bits and pieces, but when I put them together, it's greater than the sum of the parts. So 1 + 1 + 1 actually equals 12. So I can put fuel, air, and structures together and get power out, and it's the equation, you know, it's the 4-cycle combustion engine. It's kind of an example of emergence, but can you predict that going forward is another tricky thing to think about. Holism we talked about a little bit. Tension. Stakeholder interaction, Bob, you were talking about that in terms of stakeholders, so that's another principle that I went into. Function, concept, form gets into the don't try to be a hero, break it down into steps. So you don't just say, hey, here's the need, and all of a sudden jump into the solution. It's no, there's actually some process steps that you can go through that get you from, okay, what are the functions of this thing? What's it supposed to do concept-wise, and what's the form? Risk. Interfaces is another one. Interfaces is kind of, I hinted at it a little bit with your teams. If you have teams and you break up into pieces and you say, hey, I've got all of this stuff to go. If any of you have been in marching band, you know what I mean in terms of teams. You all have to do that sort of stuff. It's like, how in the heck do you make that show happen? Well, it's because you practiced the snot out of it every week, every day, and then every Saturday, and then you had competitions, and then you ended up with the solution at the end that was really awesome. And then the role of the architect is number 11. It's just, what's your job? And that's kind of what it gets into. The fun part for me for this one was it reminded me again about how to actually do research and read stuff and cite stuff. Actually say, this is where I found my information. Because sometimes you get into industry, into teams, and say, and it's almost based on who can present the best, gets their idea bought or you know, figured out, or who's the most convincing. Well, they sound really confident. They must be right. Well, do they have any citations? Did they actually do some research? Do they understand what's going on in the industry? Did you look outside of your own system of sounding blocks? So that's what it gets into, Bill. So happy to share, but it was a lot of fun. Challenging, but a lot of fun. So thank you all for your time tonight. Go off, eat some dinner, do your homework, study for next week. Thank you much. If you have any questions, you guys can find me on LinkedIn and all of that sort of stuff. So thanks much. Do, 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 do.